joined by Mr. Mohit Saraf, Managing Partner of Saraf and Partners, one of India's leading law firms. He will speak about the life and times of Fali Nariman. For your introductory comment, over to you, Mr. Saraf.
Thank you, Tarun, for inviting me. Really, if you look at Fali Nariman's 60 years of practice, I think what key themes which come out and which you can see that it was very dear to him. One was his aspect of fundamental rights, civil liberties. I think his contribution in the two landmark case, the Minerva Mill case and the Keshav Nandan Bharati case, was absolutely astonishing. And it was a very different era when those judgments were written. And his contribution was quite significant. And because, lawyers really, virtually, they write the judgment, they argue the point, and then judges capture the right things and they put it the judgment. So therefore, a lot of credit has to be given to lawyers as well. So that's number one part of it. The other is that he was very clear that there are independent, the Constitution of India provides for certain objectives about educational institutions, and they need to have independence. And he left a lot of mark on multiple cases, and that Pai Foundation case was quite significant in that order. Even today, I would say India is probably the only country where judges appoint judges. And that's again an important thing where Fali left a huge mark on that. And today we have been able to preserve Constitution, we have been able to preserve basic structure of India, largely because judges appoint judges, not executive. They are consulted, but they don't have a final say. And the last part of a lawyer, I would say, is that he was one lawyer who was delight when we briefed him on commercial matters, because he would understand commercial issues very quickly. He may not agree with you, but he'll understand the issue. And I think one thing which always stand out from him is that he would not argue unless he agrees with you. So if he doesn't agree with you, however great your reasoning is, if he did not feel for the cause, he would not argue. But therefore, I think even on the arbitration circle, he was very, very active. And on number of large arbitration matters, I think he left a significant say. And today also, I would say community around the globe, particularly in London and Singapore, on the arbitration community, Fali is very well respected. So I would say these are few things which are very, very important. And I think it probably will be proper to call him a Bhisham Pitama of Indian jurisprudence, particularly what has come out in last 60 years.
Thank you. I also want to ask you two things. He worked till his last breath effectively. 6 weeks ago, he was giving a lecture, standing behind the mic for 1 full hour. 2 days before he passed away, lawyers were briefing him for an appearance before the Supreme Court. As far as we know, you also are a workaholic. You work all the time. What do you think is inspirational about Fali Nariman in his work ethic?
A lot of us in this busy world, when you get briefed on matters much more than what you can handle. Lot of lawyers in India, they end up taking matters, but they're not able to do justice. Sometimes they don't have time for detailing. Fali, on the other hand, always believed in detailing. I would say, I remember my partners used to be scared going to Nariman for his briefing. Because if you're not prepared well, he doesn't care you are a partner or you're an associate. If you are well prepared, if you can answer questions, you know things well, you've thought through, I think he'll love you, he'll respect you. But if you are not, he'll throw the file at you. And imagine a file get thrown at a lawyer in front of the client, what worse can it happen? So really, it was a very important thing, because for him, he didn't care who you were. You've come to brief. If you are a youngster, but you're well prepared, he'll respect you. If you are a senior, but poorly prepared, He had no sympathy. I think I always felt that he had no, he could not tolerate foods. And but he can tolerate people who are working very hard but still not there, and he will mentor them, he'll guide them, but he would not typically allow you to waste his time. And time was always very, very important for him. And again, he was a person who was a perfectionist, whatever he did, because he always pushed the envelope. He always wanted to bring one more aspect of it. It was for him. And people, like you said, that he used to work till he worked almost till his end, because people like him, they, when people say work life balance, they don't understand. For people like Fali, work is life, and therefore there can be no balance except working. And he enjoyed what he did. He was passionate about what he did, and he loved. He didn't do for money or anything else. He just did it because that's what his passion was. That was his calling, and that's the reason. Till the last day, I would say, if I get a chance to go and hear his speech, I would go, because there's so much to learn. And that was he. So whenever he wanted to speak at a place, like you said, he stood for an hour speaking. He wanted to make sure that he has the right connect, because he was just not doing a duty of giving a speech. He was wanting to make sure that everybody in the room goes back thinking what he's learned from him. And therefore, he wanted that connect. So that's the reason he was a very, very passionate, very moody, very detail oriented, but absolutely modest, lovable, adorable person who was just, we had so much to learn from him. And I would say today also, I think there's a vacuum which has been created after his demise.
I know you mentor a lot of young talent, and you have groomed a lot of young lawyers who have gone on to become partners in law firms. Some have gone on to become general counsels. So you, in your own way, you have contributed to the growth of the profession. Fali Nariman was a doyen of the bar. He was well respected. What do you think that he leaves for the youngsters, lawyers, young lawyers, students, and your two bits on that?
I would say clearly, what his clear message was, that law is a serious profession, and do your job very well. There's no chance of an error. Lawyers and doctors cannot go wrong. They cannot come half prepared. They need to be 100% prepared, and always think beyond the box. Think outside the box, and think about a creative way of reading it. Think about creative way of interpreting law. Like he would read everything multiple times. So that's really what it is. And imagine, because remember, he was a person, for him, law was his calling. He loved being a lawyer, but he had a very strong knack for justice. That's a very important part. Very few lawyers think about justice. Remember when there was the imposition of emergency, he was the additional Solicitor General. He was supposed to show up in the court and defend the government, but he refused to defend the government on imposition of emergency, on curtailment of basic fundamental right, and resigned. Same thing happened in Gujarat also. When there was some sort of atrocity against a certain community, he resigned there, and he refused to take the brief. He returned the brief. So that for him, there was a very strong sense of justice. Whatever he did, he meant it. He did not do it just for the heck, because lawyers typically are obligated to defend their clients, and they do not have public duty, unlike accountants or auditors. So therefore, there is a lot of things, but he always argued those points which he believed. Same, I think one interesting part was in his life was the Union Carbide case, where he actually defended Union Carbide in the Bhopal gas tragedy. And again, I think he was committed to that because firstly, he was a commercial minded person. And secondly, he felt that everybody has a right to be defended. though that does come out as some sort of a different aspect of his personality because so many people died. But again, it's a very, very interesting. And I think what is more important is that respect the work, make sure you do 100% justice, get very well prepared. And I would say, really, for all of us, I think, be proud being a lawyer. I think that's what is important is, and I think people like him are now getting extinguished. I think probably Mr. K.K. Venugopal and Pranasaran are the only two people of that vintage left. But I think the contribution he made to the Indian legal system is enormous. And I think the key thing for new young people is to imbibe what he talked, how he practiced law, and his commitment to work. And I think I'm very, very, I hope that there's so many obituaries and so many people have written about him. A lot of youngsters will read and try to imbibe his ethos.
Thank you, Mr. Saraf. Thank you that you could make time and join on such an important
And
topic.
also, I think as I was speaking to you, Tarun, I've been thinking about it last few days that we as a firm, Saraf and Partners, we want to institute a scholarship in the name of Fali Nariman. We are working towards that on constitutional excellence in constitutional law in India. And we'll probably organize an annual debate or a speech followed by a scholarship. So we are working on that, and I hope the next generation lawyers who often are too much in hurry, they learn a lot from Mr. Nariman and understand his commitment that even at 95 he would stand for 1 hour to give a speech.
I must say that you made an announcement of the year on Legally Speaking. Talking of instituting a scholarship is a very big thing, and I think it's a very noble cause. We'll follow up with you on that because you indeed made a big announcement, and I think this is one of the best tributes that Mr. Fali Nariman could have got, that someone actually spoke about instituting a scholarship. Really pleased to hear it, and so thankful that you could join today. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.